anybody got a headset so they can hear if it's doubling up? It shouldn't be though.
I'll put my audio.
I noticed that the
You guys are cutting in and out a little bit, so just a heads up, but we should be all right.
Okay.
Cool. I wonder if we're cutting off. How about if I actually get close to the
mic?
Who
knows?
Skype sometimes cuts it a little close, in my opinion.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I think it's more of a Skype thing. It's not so much a volume thing. It's just like a connection thing, maybe.
All right.
We're so delightful right this second. We had a long weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, we covered a lot of ground.
It was a solid weekend.
Yeah.
We did a retro game night at a local gaming parlor called Not Your Parents' Basement. So we just bought a
nice.
Parlor. What year is it?
Well, what do you want me to call it?
I don't know.
It's not an internet cafe.
It's a LAN center.
No, it's not a LAN center because they do board gaming.
Well, they do lots of other stuff too, but it's mostly...
See, they're not a LAN.
Yeah, but gaming parlor.
we were at the sock hop.
Okay, yeah, we're going to the sock hop, right. Yes, after that.
Playing around with billiards. Indeed.
Pippy pip.
I like that he's trying to bring it back.
That's right, come on. I'll make that work
we have
yet.
to chastise him for being different.
That's right. Knock down any individuality.
I prefer special.
All right, I still don't have a roll on anything.
Well, like your line,
Really?
isn't it? You're special.
No, wait.
No,
Yeah, I
we're
do
all
not. Okay,
special.
yeah, there you are. We're on Twitch now. Why am I not getting it out now? Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, hold on, let me refresh.
Special.
Because YouTube runs like 2 months late.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
we're live
there you
now.
go.
Okay, so everything's pre-rolling.
Yeah, it even has the right title this week, which
Wow.
is a big plus.
Oh, I
Yeah, I
checked
forgot
last
your
week
frost
when I
burn.
was noticing how long was the delay. I just started messing
would
with my
definitely bring
iPhones
it.
to watch when did it actually show up on here.
Yeah,
Can
it's,
you hear us okay? Todd?
hold on, I'll check the audio. Yeah, it sounds good.
Did last week too, but whatever.
No, it sounds
That's
perfect,
how
dude.
it
It sounds perfect.
I'm just paranoid. Because I wasn't last week.
Should be.
All right, so
That's
everyone's
it,
good.
Davis.
Government.
I'm gonna have a whole week of your freaking recordings.
The Larry Davis special.
I've got a couple of them.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm supposed to manual start.
And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna laugh thinking about all the editing you did.
I did do a lot. But I got drunk driving out to Belgium. We've got about 2 minutes before we actually start.
Anything special you want us to focus on this evening? I'm sorry, first name again?
Zach,
Zach, anything special you want us to focus on this evening?
we just released Coffee Crisis for PC, and we have the Sega version came out last year.
Yeah, we were talking about that, especially those sweet wooden cartridges.
No, that's for Log
That's for Log
No,
Jam.
but I mean, you know, those are cool.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
The
that
Low
too.
Chambers PC should be coming out later this year, so.
All right,
But yeah, Coffee Crisis is the big focus right now.
all right, sounds good.
These two of us have played it on the PC.
Yeah, I have not played it yet, so.
So have
Perfect.
the Lords been added yet?
Yeah,
We gotta get
yeah,
to
but
that
there's-
later.
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll bring it up, you guys. Yeah, here we go again, as always.
Well, you guys started it, so...
We have a
I didn't. Oh yeah, I guess
We're
I
not-
did. I just
no.
asked if there was anything special you wanted to.
Yeah, but then you
But we're
went
good. Yeah, we're
you went on
especially the top.
tangents on
I
other things
did.
not
I
related
did.
to-
You're right. You're
We got a
right.
picture of Lords of the Trident on the opposite wall.
Oh, that's
on our
wonderful.
thing.
Good job.
Okay, I don't.
They're a resident band.
Yeah, they
we've
really
been
are.
on the show a few times.
Pretty sure we have the same.
In fact, much of the time they're probably working harder than we are in our own rooms. Definitely Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God, yes. All right, what are we? We're at. Why am I not bringing?
I'll
that
never
up?
forget that last contest.
That's it. It's that time. We're
Somebody
going
gave
live.
me, somebody gave him his ticket, their ticket, right? And they said, "Hey, can you just, if I win, can you take
Oh,
it?"
yeah.
And Brian's got a Guys Games and Beer shirt on, so he's thinking he's gonna get lynched if he wins. So he's like hiding his shit.
Oh yeah, that was at Game Hole.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's funny. Good times, I tell you. Good times.
And that was a joke. We lynched him anyway.
And he liked it.
Look, it's my Garcade opener.
Where did you snag that
Here
from?
we go.
At MGC, they have them sitting on their table.
Oh, I didn't miss that.
And it's about to start on Facebook. Yep. They just hit it.
Wow,
I suppose I ought to take control, huh?
I'm
Of
going
the,
to open some of these and start pouring them.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
switch to studio mode and get ready to kill the G2.
Yeah, the food pairing thing is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm gonna go. Don't open it yet.
All right, and
Part of it is on the. It's a Belgian style, the nice pop and everything on here.
Okay, okay.
that's it.
okay,
That's it.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
And 3. Live from the 6th subfloor basement of the Guys, Games, and Beer Towers. It's the podcast that
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
I don't even know what that is you're doing there.
Trust me, you don't want to know what he's doing there.
It's a podcast that your mom warned you about. It's Guys, Games, and Beer!
Yeah!
hooray!
So I've been waiting for. I am dying to get tonight's beer court, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So we should start beer court, Rob.
Oh, fine.
Ba-dum-bum. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Ba-da-da.
Beer court.
Wow, that was kind of
Sensual.
sexy. I know. I was gonna.
Very sensual.
My nipples got hard on that one.
I'm good.
All right, so
I'm
sorry.
glad.
So Travis bought tonight's beer court. Travis, what are we doing tonight?
What camera are we on? I'm bringing it from.
Yeah, we're on that camera.
All right, so
Oh, crap, wait! I gotta accidentally switch the camera. Oh,
Of course you did.
So tonight we've got a Tout Le Monde from Unibrew, which is a Canadian brewery. They specifically do only Belgian brews, Belgian-style brews, and they are one of my favorite breweries that makes one of my other favorite beers called Ephemere. But they've been doing this for a while. They did a crossover with Megadeth to make a Belgian-style saison ale, and the reason they did that apparently is because it's the most popular metal song to feature a chorus sung entirely in French. Yeah.
Okay, who knew?
Yeah. So they cross paths at a concert. They really they like the metal work and they like beers. So apparently it goes hand in hand. So they decided to make this. And Belgian styles are really great. This one is a little lighter. It's 4.5% alcohol by volume. We'll go ahead and pour these out. With Belgians, you got to be careful because they will pop a lot of the time, and you got to be very careful about head. So these ones specifically, pouring them in glasses is pretty recommended. Drinking it from the bottle, there's been plenty of times where I've set it down and it still explodes out the top.
You probably have more experience.
I have to say, so you know, Megadeth actually makes their own beer. It's a British ale.
Yeah.
That is the Megadeth beer. It's actually got the.
I guess that.
Yeah. So they are definitely into beer.
But it's nice. They not only like go. They've got tons of information on their side, which I really appreciate. Like even have like food pairings on the lower left right hand side there, which I thought was.
I thought that was like really interesting. Of like, why can't we have more beers that just say that?
Yeah, they
Well,
got.
I like the fact. I liked one of the things that went with there. What was that? Go ahead and read the food
So
pairing.
pad thai, fried calamari, chicken shawarma.
See now that to me.
Mescaline salad.
Shawarma.
Here,
But yeah, they've got the ABV, the best temperatures to serve it at. They've got it in Celsius and Fahrenheit. The SRM, the IBU. Seriously, it's like
Other
a stats-
acronyms.
Yeah. It's just they got like a little stats breakdown on the side, so it's pretty dope.
All right, well let's go ahead and give this a try and see what we have
So
here.
dry hopped, apparently.
Ah,
I don't know the difference between dry hopped and not.
That was the
Bottle
Well,
re-fermented.
Why did I get a glass and every? Oh,
no,
Okay.
yeah, because you're supposed to drink it from a glass, but I only found a few big glasses.
I told you this isn't the way I do this. I drink it like a.
That's very dry.
Yes.
Wow. Like Travis was saying, we actually like the Unibrew stuff. Normally their stuff is not this dry.
Yeah.
This is wow.
That's almost champagne dry.
Yeah.
How dry
I like
I
that.
am.
Yeah.
Nobody
You know, on the list of beers, it's still good, but on the list of Unibrew beers, I'd put it lower on the list.
Yeah.
Way
yeah,
lower.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, you know.
Another thing about Unibrew beers is they have sweet French names for like La Fin du Monde, The End of the World, or Tres Pistoles, Three Pistols. Like they have really sweet ass French names for their beers too, which
So it makes sense, you know, the Megadeth city is in Arizona, in like the desert,
Yeah, this is a very dry beer.
Yeah. That's very different. I guess, I was expecting different from it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because
that's what.
I don't think I've ever tasted anything quite like it, honestly.
I haven't.
No.
This is very.
I've never tasted a beer this dry before.
Yeah, no,
seriously,
I have to agree with you on
like
that.
halfway to like a dry champagne.
Yeah. Yeah, this is that's
This
really
is the actual champagne of beer.
that's really weird actually.
Take that, Miller.
It's almost like it disappears.
Yeah.
It's like it starts and it's like, oh, where'd it go?
Yeah, there's no. We always talk about the finish, and there's no finish on this. There's a front end, but there's no finish. That's really
different.
That's really different.
Yeah.
I'm unsure about this actually.
Well,
I mean, it's really different.
if it was available, I think I'd go, hey, yeah, grab me one of those.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but when it
I
comes
like
to
it.
when it comes to Unibrew beers, I would definitely choose a lot of their beers before this one.
Yeah.
Their Belgian White's really good.
Different.
Aphamir's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Any of their reds, the reds are really good too.
That's just really, it's such a unique beer. It's hard to categorize.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No.
That's the thing. It's like it's well done,
Oh yeah.
but it's just like, what is it?
Yeah, it's almost not a beer.
I want to give it more props for being so unique.
Yeah, we can give it props for being unique, but something, it's almost not a beer. Okay, so here's the thing: you're not getting any hoppy notes in here. There's no hoppy notes in it. I mean, there's that dry finish, but I don't taste any hops in here at all, which is fine. It's a Belgian style, so the hops should be very low.
I taste a little bit.
Really?
I
Okay.
can smell it too.
I don't even smell the hops on it.
Yeah, I can smell the hops very subtly.
I mean, that's what I mean. It's very subtle.
It is. Again, it tastes more like a champagne than it does like a beer.
I think
It's
the fact that it's so carbonated doesn't help with that.
well,
either.
and that's true
Belgian
too.
styles
But-
in general.
That's
right.
what I mean.
Right, but generally, it's really, really different that way. All right, well, I suppose let's go ahead and vote on it. I hate to say this too. I'm only going to go with the middle of the road.
I'm gonna say, yeah.
All right, so
I'm alright with it.
3 and 3. It's a kind of a split decision on this. 3 up, 3 in the middle.
That's not bad.
It's if you want something really unique in a beer, this is a really unique beer.
I've drank a lot of beers and I've never tasted it.
Or if you like dry things, like if you like dry champagnes and things like that.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
You fucking love
If
this.
you're into like a dry wine or a dry champagne,
It's also light. Think of a summer day.
Yeah.
It's not going to weigh you down.
This will not
that's
weigh you
true.
down at
That
all.
is very true. I mean,
Is
there
it
is
a
nothing
beer or a
besides the
douche?
carbonation. It is really carbonated. But
Really,
you're right.
Larry?
It's a
Are
good
you
beer
describing
versus
a beer or a douche?
Good burp, you know?
It's light, like a summer day.
Hey, whatever's refreshing, man.
All right, Judge Rob, let's pass verdict on this beer.
Okay, this court finds
Reach
you
adjust.
guilty of impersonating a beer. And I sentence you to
Drinking. All right. So
I'm
Rob,
sick of the second charge because it's always just late.
so the mega death kind of ties into who we're talking to. Rob, what are we really here for tonight?
Well, I guess there's a lot of death.
That wasn't quite what I was going for, but go ahead anyways.
Maybe
Go
the
down
metal
that road.
connection.
Okay,
Maybe
Taylor.
the metal connection, maybe.
Yeah, the metal. Yeah, there's a metal connection.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of.
It's also a pretty mega
Well,
episode.
it's a mega episode with.
All right,
All right,
Mega Cats.
Mega,
Good
All
round.
right, so today we are with.
Zach,
Hey, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
He's with.
Mega Cat Studios.
Yay!
He's here to talk about the PC release of Coffee Crisis, so we're going to go over that to start, I think, right?
I
Sounds
think
good
we're gonna
to me.
start with Coffee Crisis.
Yeah, because that is
Let's.
the
Zach,
latest.
you want to start
the
with
latest
Coffee
and
Crisis?
greatest.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds good. All right, so this started out originally as a Genesis game. We talked a little bit about it. I think it was just coming out last year when we talked to your crew. Maybe we talked to your art guy. We had a lot of art, as I recall.
Yeah.
So for those uninitiated, what is Coffee Crisis? As a synopsis.
So, Coffee Crisis, the PC version, is a neo-rogue brawler that puts you in the shoes of the only baristas on Earth with enough heavy metal in their veins to fend off an alien assault. And it did come out as a Sega Genesis / Mega Drive release last year originally, and we just released the PC version. It's an upmake, so there's new graphics and new features, some expanded content. So it's all around. It's heavy metal, aliens, and coffee.
Sounds like the absolute perfect trinity for a video game.
If only we could fit beer in there too, you know.
Yeah, I was
Well,
kind of thinking that, to be honest.
no, trust me, we'll take care of fitting the beer in.
Irish coffee. Irish coffee.
Irish coffee, there you go.
There you go. See, there it is. Done.
So this is kind of a brawler style game. Does it have I know it kind of from seeing some gameplay videos and things. It kind of has like a little bit of a humorous aspect. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Is there any kind of like aesthetic style you guys are trying to go through when you guys came to like develop this game and say, hey, we're gonna take this game and make a brawler, but we're gonna make it about coffee? How did that come to be?
So it actually started out. The whole project started out as a collaboration between us and a local coffee shop in Pittsburgh, as a kind of a way to like gain exposure for them, do a philanthropic effort for a local hospital, and so they kind of wrote the story. And we developed it into a game, and we featured the owners of the coffee shop, not characters. And we knew that we wanted to launch it for the Sega Genesis initially, which translates well into the 16-bit art style of like the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. Translates well into PC graphics, just because pixel art is something that's kind of timeless. You see pixel art, you immediately think video games, and there's a ton of indie games on Steam right now that use pixel art too. So it worked really well.
Well, it's also hitting that type of art, or that level of gaming system was really popular with side beat 'em ups. Like your
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you mean Double Dragon and
Once you got to the 3D era, there aren't really a ton of standout brawlers. Compared to like your 2D era stuff, a lot of people still do 2D when it comes to that kind of game.
Right. I instantly thought of Turtles.
Right.
Mutant Turtles, the great surprise, and that's the sort of level of graphics that it sort of kind of topped out at.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, wow! Larry, nice conversation kill, Larry.
So for the PC, I know you had it's a co-op multiplayer on the Genesis. Were there any other expanded features besides it sounds like you added a little more content enhancements? Are there any like new big features for the PC release, or is it kind of more of what you expect to see from the Genesis version?
So there's definitely more content. The biggest one being we added random modifiers to whenever you get to a locked screen where you have to finish off all the enemies before you can continue. It's sort of like a staple of brawlers, the finish them screens. When you get to one of them, we apply between 2 and 5 modifiers, and they could be something helpful for the player, like the player gets an item spawn or weapon spawn. It could be something harmful, like enemies, like a group of enemies spawn and they're elite, they have twice as much HP or something like that. Or it just could be something really metal, like coffee and blood raining from the sky. So it adds, it changes up the gameplay. Like every time you get to one of the screens, it's something different. So every time you play, essentially, the game's always different. So it's always fresh and fun when you play.
Well, I was playing one level and it was like everybody was like just silhouette rainbows. Like
yeah.
Like, yeah, they were like
there's a lot of like camera
edges
filters that affects the whole screen. Like we have like a game dude or game child mode where it makes it look like an old Game Boy handheld. There's like a Virtual Boy one too where it's all red and black.
Oh god,
we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I think we are showing the Virtual Boy version as you say that. That's on the screen right now. Wow, yeah, that's great. I can go into epileptic seizures as I watch this video.
Is that a alien grandma with a walker?
No, she's possessed.
Oh, okay.
She's not alien.
Part of the plot, the aliens come and they possess grandmas, grandpas. There's also a well-known country western music artist that we parody who is possessed, and you fight his legions of fans too. You want to fight some cowgirls?
I do have to say I find some of the alien and monster design or the enemy design is pretty amusing here too. I mean, nothing like taking Granny out to town
and beating her down.
So obviously it relies on the music, the metal music. So what are the different bands you enlisted?
So right now, the soundtrack was developed by our sound guy Mitch Foster. He did the soundtrack for the what's in Coffee Crisis right now, and it's awesome. Everyone that's ever played the game, whether we've been showing it at a convention or sending it out for review, always come back with favorable responses to the soundtrack. It's definitely epic. It's definitely heavy. It has those awesome solos. It's not just like riff rock. It's really good. But we do have some collaborations with bands coming up in the future here. Yeah.
Oh, really? So some of the bands that are on this we will see on future titles.
I'm sorry.
So some of the bands that are in this game we'll see on some future titles of yours as well.
No, they're currently not in the game.
They're not in the game yet.
For future.
They're not the game yet, but yeah, we have some of that planned out. So.
Yeah, so as a
I thought
connection to
future
that,
collaboration.
so one of the reasons I was like, I've known about you guys and this game from the Genesis version for a while, but official metal band of the G2B staff is Lords of the Trident, and my understanding is they might be in the future.
That is correct, sir.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and give a big thumbs up and vote for that. You cannot
be NPCs.
Yeah, they these guys are definitely more metal than metal. I mean, they are the metal band. So
absolutely, yeah.
And we're not biased at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
98%.
They're a lot of fun. I mean, just their music videos and their music themselves. It's really good. Like, it's so metal, like you said, but it's also like they're not just like a comedy metal band. They're all very talented musicians. They're really good.
That's the whole reason that was a big deal for me was them. Is they like their music's great. They're really great, but they also like have fun. Way too many metal bands take themselves way too damn seriously. Let's be honest here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, their live shows are amazing.
Well,
as well.
again, they are all very talented musicians. So, so besides Lords of the Trident, which we are looking forward to, can you mention any other names of bands that might be in the game in the near future that we should maybe listen to their music?
There's 3 other ones that we have kind of planned out right now. It's Nile, Terrorizer, and Psycho Stick.
Oh, nice!
Oh,
Yeah. All right, I didn't know the first two. It's Psycho Stick, I know. So.
Because I suddenly want a taco.
And beer.
So, all right. So, and again, yeah, the soundtrack works really well. So, adding the metal as a soundtrack for it. I mean, and particularly picking some of the more serious metal bands. What was that decision process like?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Question. It cut out.
No, that's okay. So, when you guys were setting the game up, I mean, you can use pretty much any heavier music to do these kind of beat 'em up games, but you guys went with some serious metal bands. So, what was the decision-making process in that? What made you guys think, hey, we'll reach out to some other heavy hitters in metal and get them to do the soundtrack?
So, the reason we reached out to the bands we did is we definitely wanted someone that was kind of I guess relevant to the Coffee Crisis world, where it's not just there's different types of metal. There's black metal, death metal, and everything, and we kind of it's definitely tongue-in-cheek and funny and humorous, but it more or less an epic plot line. So guys like Lords of the Trident, with their style, it just fits so well.
Cool, very cool. All right, Rob. Jump in, Rob.
That you sent us an email, and I want to tell you how great the G2B Russian email servers are. we have a Cold War Russian email server that is
perfect.
It's actually made out of an old water heater.
Hey, it still works. Come on.
But we got it from the Yugoslavians, and I just got your email that you were having a hard time getting a hold of us.
Wow. Well, hey. Evidently, you were having a hard time getting a hold of Zach.
Just saying.
Okay, so this is available now on Steam.
Yep.
All right.
Was this the? I know you guys. So you guys work a lot in making games for older consoles in general as a studio. Is this your first release that you guys have made for PC, or has there been other games that you guys have done before that you've taken from older consoles and that you've developed and ported to Steam?
This is our first that we've released. We do have others, in the works that we're upmaking essentially from an NES or Sega version into a PC title.
Now, the other question with that is that a plan for all of your games eventually, even if they're not in the works, or is it just you're doing some of them?
I think ultimately we're going to try to release everything digitally in some format, whether it's, a download for a retro game or, on like Xbox Live or something like that. But I don't know if we'll upmake all of them. I think just the ones maybe we feel really strongly about. Coffee Crisis obviously is kind of our flagship title right now. The next one that should be out is Logjammers, an upmake of our NES arcade sports game. You play as lumberjacks throwing axes at one another, trying to get it past your opponent into their goal. So it's kind of like Pong if Pong stopped fucking around.
This group could have done
Okay,
that.
but
We throw axes.
Yeah, we do throw axes. But that being said,
Sounds like
so
Saturday.
so for those of you who have not seen the game Jammers on their website, Hippie Jagger. I'm thinking McJagger for some reason. I watched it.
You just
You just
I
like
did
to
say
jag
log
logs,
jaggers.
okay?
Hey, I'll jag logs all day long. But for those
They
of you who have
drive
not
Jaguars.
seen Log Jammers on their website, check it out and check out the limited edition cartridge version.
So now, kind of so you guys have been really great about specializing in these new games for old systems, which I think really breathes life into those old systems, and then also like the masters of like limited edition version of them. Has there been any concern? Did you guys have a discussion on like, if we just start putting these out on Steam, does it kind of like harm that kind of cachet, or what do you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always kind of a give or take, because with the retro stuff, obviously people want to play it. They want the physical versions. It's unique, it's cool. The limited editions, like you said, the custom carts and all that are really awesome. They're great collector's items. But at the same time, you want to reach as large of an audience as possible. Kind of the caveat with that is that there's such a big emulation, community, if you want to call it that, out there, that part of the concern is if we do release the retro games digitally, is someone just going to steal it and dump the ROM, and then just now no one has to buy it, they can just spread it illegally essentially.
Right.
So it's kind of like, where do we find the balance there, like reaching the biggest audience but at the same time protecting our IP essentially. That's why the retro stuff is more of like a labor of love. We do it because we love it. No one's going to be successful in a business sense in 2018 releasing games for 30-year-old hardware. That's why the PC stuff is kind of like what keeps the doors open.
Makes a lot of sense. I do have to take just a really quick side point, but I don't know how you guys come to the decision on how you're going to develop these custom cartridges, but each one of these special edition cartridges are just so beautiful in their own right. So I'll just go over real quick.
Yeah,
the older
they're
one,
definitely awesome. People clamor about them, for sure.
Yeah, they're just a lot of them have very interesting shapes to them. A lot of them are really cool, laser cut with multiple layers and custom shaped NES cartridges. The Logjammer one's made out of wood.
Hand finished.
And this other one, the Fort Parker's Crunch Out one that's going to be coming out, lights up when you plug it into the Super Nintendo.
Okay, that's freaking
And actually
Yeah.
lights up the title. And you guys have just each one of them seem very unique, and they're conversation pieces on top of being excellent games, which I think is really
absolutely
cool.
I'm not a lot of the guys here. They huge collectors. Travis, Tom, Rob. You guys are huge collectors. Me, it's almost so, but I want the things that I had as a kid. It's a nostalgia thing. So I've all my old original consoles and everything. But damn, do I want to buy these things? Damn.
They're just each one of them is so unique. I highly recommend just going online and checking out some of the images. For some of these cartridges, because they're just so cool pieces of art.
Are they done in your developing house, like your group? Or do you guys do them yourselves, or do you contract them?
Not the custom ones. We own the injection molds to make the colored shells for the games, like the normal versions. But the LE editions are made by Regular Gaming. We kind of have a contract with them. That the guy that runs it, he's a really cool dude, and he works well with us to kind of develop a the style we want to go with, and he works hard. And they're all handcrafted by him. So each one, that's why we only do limited editions. It's usually between 50 or 100 copies of the LEs, just because
he's trying to get about
he
himself.
has to hand make each one. So.
Yeah.
Well, now the wooden one. I mean, that's a whole other process. That's a whole other thing. So
right.
I mean,
same manufacturer?
Yep.
So,
Really? Oh, see.
Hey,
Yeah.
look,
Talented
if you've
Talented
got,
dude.
right, exactly. If you, we know how stuff like this goes. Once you've got the equipment like that, you want to put it to use.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the wood's a different
Yep.
animal than
And that's got a good
having,
CNC.
plastic and laser cut. and
Again,
so on.
not if you got a good CNC. Just gonna put it out there.
I'm a broke college student, or recently graduated one. I'm going, wooden cartridge? I so want that.
Oh, the game is really cool too, Ed, but again, just to get in that cartridge. So, yeah, and again, so again, these are very collectible items, and we are like Tyler was mentioning. Some of us are serious collectors. Now, I'm more a hardware collector, but like Travis and Rob are serious software collectors. So
It's hardware as software.
I know.
It's physical. It's all physical.
It's all physical, but you know what I mean. I'm more
Especially
counsel.
if there's a certain kind of monitor.
Right? Yeah.
Let's not talk about my hoarding habits.
Yeah,
That has nothing to do with this topic.
So
This week.
So will you guys?
This week on Monitor Hoarders.
Surprise! It's an intervention.
Along that same line, will you guys ever do re-releases on some of the more popular ones?
For the LEs, possibly. I'm not gonna say never say never, but I know we don't have anything planned right now to do so.
Right.
So we've talked about a couple of them that are already porting over. Obviously Coffee Cart is already ported over, but what about the Brawler?
Larry really likes.
Yeah, narrow that down, Larry.
Creepy Brawler.
Oh, Creepy Brawler.
Yeah, Creepy Brawler. Yeah.
Is that something you
Oh,
guys?
I don't know if we'll get I don't know if it'll get a PC version, but it's definitely one of the first ones we'll release digitally in some format. I'd say that and Little Medusa are probably our best foot forward Nintendo games for sure.
Right. Okay, so how much work when you guys port? You basically have to start from scratch, or do your development tools allow you to pretty well just port over, just redo routines?
It kind of depends on the system and what it's programmed in, because for the NES, the typical programming language is assembly.
Yeah.
And with 16-bit you can do some stuff in C, and then I know for like the PC game like Coffee Crisis, it's either like C# or something else. So the language has a lot to do with it. There's also really exploring some kind of I don't know, I guess you could call it a converter that allows for an easier turnkey solution to something like that, but that's all still in the works for sure. I know it's a technical hurdle. It's a little bit over my head. I'm not too much of a technical guy myself.
Right. Yeah, well, with some of they can actually put just a dedicated emulator on the front end and then let it run the existing code the way it is.
Yeah.
But you guys aren't doing that. You're actually upscaling everything to look better on the PC anyways.
Correct, yeah. When we do a PC release, it's all new art and everything, so.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Dedication.
I was about to say, yeah, dedication, lots of work.
Okay, so...
Yeah,
sorry. Zach.
I was going to say, when we do a PC version, it's not just like, okay, here's the Sega version or here's the NES version and now it's, digital release. When we do the PC version of a game, do the full scale update, we always want to add new features, add new content, really give people a reason to get both, not just for, now I have a digital copy. We want to give them something new.
Again, yeah, that's when you're selling, especially when you're not selling an actual piece of hardware like the cartridges, it is nice to get all that new content. And again,
exactly.
This particular game shows a ton of new content, which is great. Just the music alone. Buy it for just the music alone, people.
Absolutely.
So a lot of your developments I saw you had for the regular NES and Coffee Crisis had originally for the Genesis and the PC. For like a little teaser, I see Fort Parker is kind of like your first development for the Super Nintendo. Is it like an entirely different group of people who are working on that, or is it kind of people who currently worked at MegaCat who are branching out to developing for other systems, or what is that kind of like?
So that's still our core team of dudes that are doing that. It's just that the Super Nintendo it's kind of the hardest system to develop for. Like the Nintendo has this awesome homebrew community that we kind of piggybacked off of some of their knowledge, and there's a really good base there for tools and techniques and things like that. The Sega and the Mega Drive, it's kind of the same way, but there's not the same thing for the Super Nintendo. There's not a whole lot of there's a lot of ROM hacks for Super Nintendo, but there's not a lot of original quote unquote games. So we're having to figure out more of that on our own than ever before. and it's always beneficial kind of to do that way because then you get custom tools for your own games. On the flip side, it just takes longer. It's a little bit more difficult.
Now, my question for that is, so you've gotten a lot of information for the NES. Now, for getting that developed for the SNES, would that be something you plan on releasing a lot of information for how you got that done, so other developers maybe have an easier time? If they're
absolutely. We've actually, so we have a pretty wide blog section on our website where we have tips and tricks and guides on how we did things in our games and kind of
That's really cool.
ways to leverage these old systems. We have probably a dozen articles about NES art and how to get the most out of it within the limitations. And we've already released a couple for the Super Nintendo, just going through the process, what we've learned so far, essentially, like, these tools and converters that we've been exploring. So it's all part of how we support, like, the retro renaissance, the retro community. It's not just through the games, but it's, through the knowledge base as well.
Yeah, I mean, that just only helps the community grow and continue to grow.
Well, and
Absolutely.
that's very interesting because, so again, I'm big in the community, particularly the Vectrex community and so on. And there's a really active community where you've got a bunch of homebrews and a bunch of people turning out brand new games for a very, very old system. The Vectrex came out like in 84, 82, 84. I forget now.
Vectrex?
Yeah. 82. So, and it's great to see all that development in it. And like you said, the NES, the 2600, but now I hadn't even thought about it, but you're right. When I go to these shows and we buy a lot of new games for old systems, I've never seen a SNES game.
You do see but it's like it's ROM hacks. It's stuff that's kind of
but it's
like,
ROM hacks, right?
It's like
not
restructuring like Mario and different.
Exactly.
Like English translation patches for secret.
Right, but it's not all these new
like
games.
You don't see a ton of new.
Actually, new software for the old systems.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Right.
So how long has your group been together?
We've done contract work for several years. We started making our own games, our own IPs about 2 years ago, and the first one was a philanthropic project, and it got such a good reception that we're like, we should try to do this, full time, go full scale, and we grew up with the NES. It's what we love, so that's why we were like, we should do retro games, and then from there we're like, all right, well, we want to jump in, with both feet on this. We need to do PC titles as well, so.
So, you have quite a few games out, but there's always going to be one that's going to be
My personal favorite right now is Little Medusa for the NES.
Why?
I did it. There was a really good team on it. We all had a lot of fun. The art style is very charming, is the best way to describe it. And the world that we kind of created it's based in ancient Greek and Roman mythology, but it's also kind of like fairy tale-esque. So it's very I wouldn't say like kiddie, but it's more like family friendly. It feels like a game that may have come out like when the Nintendo went into its prime, and I had a lot of fun writing for it. We had a great team doing the design work on it. There's some really brain-boggling puzzles in there. It's kind of like a top-down action puzzle game. So we all had a lot of fun with it, and it's been received well. There's actually been a lot of people that have responded to the main character, Artemisa. It's this like young goddess that gets turned into a Medusa. There's been a lot of people saying like how cute or how hot she is, which is strange to us because we're like, no. The artist said, he's like, I mean, Medusa's like, yeah, she's kind of hot, but at the same time, I created her, so I feel like her dad, so.
Is she trying not to be a Medusa?
Well, she's.
I'm sorry?
Well, I mean, it's really lonely to be a Medusa. Everyone is in the stone,
I'm not even going to touch that.
Talk to
I'm not even going to touch
anybody,
that. I'm not even going to touch that. I promise I'll leave that one alone. But
she's trying to not
she's
be Medusa.
16-bit hot.
Okay, you're that weirdo in this circle. We got you.
Oh no, I was gonna go with another rock.
Yeah,
I kept that clean.
Wait, could you do a creeper shot on the camera?
I was doing a
I'd like you to have a
question.
seat right over here.
You were gonna go with the rock hard idea?
No, just.
Well, I know why it was me last week. Go ahead, Tom.
I'm gonna derail the show this week.
Larry,
I was saying.
Sure you were, Larry.
I could see a character being kind of frustrated that everyone she looks at turns into stone.
Yeah, that's.
And then you can't be friends with them or nothing. So I guess it's
Okay, down the rabbit hole.
kind of the Goldfinger problem.
You mean Midas problem, but that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, well,
Goldfinger's a really good ska band, but that's
you know what I mean.
There's no problem with that, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
So, anyways,
So, anyways, let's bring it back to what we were talking about.
We can now. God, really. Wow, it's good we don't do 2 of these now.
Yeah.
It really is good that we don't.
We're only an hour into the drinking. We can do better than this. All right. So,
I think last week we learned that we really can't.
So you mentioned a few times in here about there was a really good group or that was a really good group. So is your group fairly dynamic? That there's people on and off projects, or there's people that have come in, dropped out.
So we have a core team that works on most of the projects. There's like a technical art lead, there's a lead designer, there's a writer, and then we will typically have a handful of freelancers as well. Just because we tend to keep a lot of projects in motion, so we need sort of a large team to make that happen and keep the momentum up.
okay. So, you talked about having a lead designer. Do you guys do a lot of? Your games have a really good feel when it comes to that. Wow, Rob, your games have a really good feel when it comes to that. Do you So that all comes from the lead designer. He basically comes up with the concept and then passes it off to like freelance artwork.
So the creative process is kind of like, okay, we'll brainstorm together, like, what kind of game should we do next, or what's our library lacking, or, what do we want to do? What do we want to see, like, on the Nintendo or this or that? And we'll kind of brainstorm together, and then if someone has an idea, they'll, propose it, and we'll kind of bounce it off the wall and bounce it off together, and then one of us will make a design document out of it, which is, it's like, okay, here's the concept, here's the character, here's the story, here's the main gameplay, and then it'll just kind of, after we, kind of run it through the grinder a couple times, we'll perfect it and polish it. So it's tough to say any one person is like, oh, this is their job. I mean, there's definitely people have lanes and goals and everything, but as far as the design, it's something that gets play tested together, worked on together, thought of together. It's always like a team project. It's never anyone's like, oh, this is my quote unquote game. It's always a Mega Cat game.
There's a lot to be said for that. So we've talked to a lot of developers, and when it comes to getting a game done and getting it to market, it's much better if you have that kind of situation than you're waiting on one guy to finish up his part of the project. If you're all working on it, cooperatively, it gets done faster. It really does.
Exactly.
We've talked to some groups, and it takes them forever to get things to market because, again, very often for developers, it may not be their day job. This may be something they're doing on the side. And
right.
If it is, then your day job may come and interfere with what you're doing on the side. So that being said, is this your guys' day job or is this a side gig?
No, this is it for the core team. This is what we do.
That's nice.
We live and breathe Mega Cat. So
I will tell you, by the way, in my very humble opinion, your decisions as far as balancing out your library is pretty good. I mean, with the side scroller and a couple sort of I don't know, kind of action, almost sports-esque with log jammers.
Definitely.
And then an RPG. I mean, you got a lot of things covered there.
Oh yeah. We try to have something for everyone, and we would like to do like an RPG is definitely on the horizon. It's just we need time to write. There's so much dialogue with RPGs that it's definitely something that's a little bit of a time sink.
That's a really good point. So most of your games are, pretty straightforward.
Pick up and play.
Right, pick up and play games. So yeah, it you don't think about it, how much time it takes to write a script out like that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Another thing too is with the retro thing. We've always wanted to focus on like couch co-op. That's something that's so core to the retro ethos of like, okay, playing in your parents' basement when you were young and sitting on the couch next to your buddies. That's the feeling you get from like long jammers where it's competitive and trash talking each other, or like Coffee Crisis. You know, it's co-op where now you're cheering each other on, helping each other out. That I think that type of gameplay is sometimes lost with the online and stuff. And playing with people across Steam, across the internet and everything.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Like I play a lot of games with friends all the time online, and it's not the same as sitting on the couch with them. Like there is something completely.
Yeah.
Tyler likes to be within swinging distance.
Yeah. Tyler likes to be able to hit you while you're playing.
I mean, how many times have you been in a couch game where you've ended up beating the crap out of each other beating the crap out of each other on the floor? It's fun.
Zero. Yeah, well.
You didn't go up with brother siblings.
Well,
obviously.
But like in the past 10 years, because all the couch co-op has gone away, that's why.
No. See, that's what he is talking about. We love couch co-op. It's we literally when we do our retro shows.
Oh man, I just ran Crawl last week. I know what it's like.
Exactly, and you had 4 guys sitting on that couch, all going into
Staring
it.
at a little 13, or actually like a 15-inch TV.
Yeah, but they were getting into it. There's nothing like a good couch co-op game when you're going.
I don't care if it's just it doesn't matter what it is.
Even just to see the expression on your other players' faces as they're playing it.
So talking smack's way better.
Oh yeah, I agree.
When else do you get to actually just look over at the person and go, "You douchebag"?
Well, I play with Darlene all the time,
so you can say it all the time. Yeah.
And then he gets punched in the dick.
Ironically, it keeps it more civil than what happens online. Now you hear about like flaming and death threats and all that, and the childish kind of stuff is kind of stereotypical of like online, shooters and whatnot. I don't think that happens as often as couch co-op because you don't talk like that when someone could punch you in the face.
Well, I mean, you might always be confident in that first punch, but you do have to. You always got to think about that retaliation.
Oh yeah, there will be retaliation.
Online, you're a little less concerned about that.
Yeah. Well, again, nowadays it gets a little worse out.
So clearly, one should play Mega Cat's games, but if you were not playing one of your games, what game would you be playing?
Cool. Now that's a good question. So work takes up a lot of time, and I also have 3 kids, so gaming is not something I get to do as much as I would like to. What I'm playing right now is actually Celeste for PS4.
Nice.
It's from the guys that made Towerfall. It's the same kind of art style, and it's like a puzzle platformer. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, how old are your kids right now?
3, 2, and 3, 1.5, and 2 months.
Okay, well you got dude, you got So I'm going to tell you right now, shortly your favorite board game is going to be Chutes and Ladders. But how about for board gaming or card gaming? Anything you're into right now?
So the board game I play most often is Candyland.
Yeah.
That's what my toddler can handle. That and Hungry Hungry Hippos.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Do you have an adult favorite?
Well, we actually have a board
You
game,
said
Nintendo game hybrid called Expedition, where it's meant to be an RPG tabletop experience that you can fit into like a half-hour session, because as adults, you typically don't have a whole weekend to devote to let's play some D&D, not like when you did in college or high school or whatever. So Expedition is meant to expedite the whole process. So the cards are. They take care of all the rules and everything like that, and then the NES companion cartridge adds some atmosphere to it. The text is on screen. It adds animated story screens and music for some atmosphere effect.
And
that's a Mega Cat game.
I had looked at some of your games before, and I had not seen Expedition before today. I've been really into playing some of those really cheesy older VHS games lately, Nightmare. And I was like, oh man, this is like a mixture of my love of playing those and retro gaming. So I was like, I honestly, I think this is pretty interesting that you guys have used the NES technology to kind of create something a little different, which I think is really dope.
Have you tried
cool.
Atmosphere?
Atmosphere is the newer version of Nightmare.
Oh.
By the way,
same French holding company. I want to get it. It's really expensive.
By the way,
by the way, when your kids turn about 16. You have plenty of time to game. They won't want to talk to you. sometimes you
Yeah.
put them on a podcast. So
We only got like 13 to 15 years to go.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so, gentlemen, any other questions we have for Zach tonight?
So,
All right, Rob, why don't you go ahead and wrap this up?
All right, thank you very much for watching Guys, Games, and Beer. You can, of course, check out Mega Cat at the links down below this podcast and on, of course, the YouTubes, whoever the heck watches that.
that's a table.
He's pointing the links below.
They have to go like further down.
Yeah, it's way down
Okay,
there.
okay.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Now he's got it.
Nobody turned this light on today.
Thanks for that. No,
All
that's
right.
your job.
So-
That's your job.
That's your job.
All right, you can check us out at www.facebook.com/guysgamesandbeer, where all the crazy, stupid crap goes on. You can, of course, get yourself a free game if you go on Twitter at guysgamesbeer.
I will give away a free game tomorrow. So if you are watching the show right now, sometime tomorrow during the day, I will drop another free indie game online. Maybe even two. We'll see how good I feel tomorrow, how the day goes. But I'm definitely going to be giving away at least one free indie game tomorrow on our Steam key for one free indie game tomorrow on our website.
So you
or on our
heard it
Twitter
here
account.
first. If Tom's gonorrhea clears up, you're going to get a free game tomorrow. That sounds really good.
Hey, look,
Good reason for
that
you to keep taking the pills.
That burning makes it really difficult to type those codes in.
He has a burning urge to give you a game. And of course, www.guysgamesandbeer.net is the main website where you can get links to the podcast and all the other great stuff that's going on. In fact, you can probably get an update on every one of our social media areas just right off the website. It's
Right.
all right there.
Especially about Zach's new their new entry. Zach, one more time, what is it?
Coffee Crisis.
And Coffee
PC
Crisis,
and Sega.
yeah, is a really good, again, great brawler type game. It gives you that nice old school feel on your PC. There is a NES version. I'm sorry, yeah, there's a NES version. No, Genesis version of it available as well. Sorry about that.
Sega Genesis.
Yeah, Sega Genesis. Thank you. Version of it available as well. But you really want to look at the PC version because the soundtrack is great and the game looks amazing.
And
And I tell you, I have a few extra
For the
questions.
love of God, can I end the damn podcast?
But that's going to wait for another time when you come back on.
All right, check out our friends over at Lionheart Racing too. They got another race coming
When's
up.
the next
there.
race?
2 days on the retro series. You can check them out.
today?
No,
No,
2
in
days.
2 days.
2 days. Oh boy, you can see their link at our www.guysgamesandbeer.net site. It's up on the top right hand side. Click right through to it to check out what races are coming up. And finally, for the love of God, Coffee Crisis is $6 frickin' bucks. Go pick it up on Steam, will ya? There's gonna be a link below the podcast.
Okay, actually, I'm going to do one more quick announcement. We are going to do so as you know, we were at Not Your Parents' Basement on this Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to now be doing another show, another retro game night. It's going to be at Vape Masters at
Vape Meisters.
Vape Meisters, thank you.
Man.
I'm fine tonight. I've been drinking all day.
He's old.
Yeah, that too. It's
One
going
of
to
us a week,
It's
man.
going to be at Vape Meisters at 420 Main Street in Racine, Wisconsin. We are going to be doing a retro game night there. We're going to start at 6 o'clock on the 16th of June, and we will be going till late that night. The shop's only open till 8, but I think they're going to invite some friends over for a little drinking and retro gaming after the shop officially closes. So maybe you should go in and check them out and see if you can get yourself on that special guest list.
Now, it's a smaller venue.
It is a much smaller venue.
So, if there's something particular we bring out at some of our other shows that you really would prefer
Rob's
to
gonna finish the
see,
show.
then you know,
Then
drop
send
us
an
a line.
email to Rob.
Yeah.
All right, send it to Rob
No.
at Guys Games and Beer. Tell him I want to see this.
And if you could do me a favor and send him 100, that would be great.
Yeah, just keep sending the same message again and again. Rob will get it.
That's Kill Larry at guysgamesandbeer.net. Oh, that will work.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, that's live now. It's okay. It's ready to go.
Go ahead, Rob. Take us out.
Thanks for watching Guys, Games, and Beer. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. I almost said Standard.
Standard.
Use
Bye.
your words.
Use your words.
Central Sanford.
All right.